most out of it. So again, thank you very much. We're very privileged to have two guest presenters here with us from Serious Factory to talk about creating virtual simulations and scenarios using their product. A couple of us got a demo of this a couple months ago. We're incredibly impressed and excited about it, and we said we'd love to show our audience here at LTG with Instilled and Gomo customers like what they can do and how easy it was to do with their product, and we're excited to show that to you today. So William and Yannick, thank you for joining, and please feel free to introduce yourselves as well.
Yeah, thank you. So we will present this new product for you. Maybe you know already that. And my name is William Perez. I'm the CEO and founder of Serious Factory, a French company, as you can hear. And let Yannick present himself.
Yes, and I'm the Yannick Odehoud, the product owner of VTS Editor, the product that we will show you today. And I'm very proud to present it to you after a few years of research and development and a few years of existence already.
Well, thank you both so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to present on this webinar with us to the audience. We had lots of exciting responses when we sent out the marketing about it. So glad everyone's here. We are recording this, so someone will post a question, I'm sure. So if you have to share this with colleagues or anything like that, the recording will be sent out afterwards as well. All right, William, if you don't mind advancing to the next agenda. It's a very detailed agenda, as you'll see.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about why we're here. We already did the introductions, and then we're going to spend the majority of the time on the fun stuff, the demo. We're going to get into it. We're going to create some simulations. We're going to show you the product of what you can do. We're going to share some customer examples of how customers are building scenarios and the benefits they're getting out of this today. And we're here to answer any questions people have as we kind of get on that. So I think I already told you why we're here. We were impressed with the technology. The Serious Factory team was willing to jump on and do a webinar like this with us, so we're excited to bring it to you. And with that, we'll kind of jump right into it from there. So William, if you don't mind going on to the next slide, I will do my LTG hat that I'll put on here. As everyone I think that's on here is probably aware, we all part of the Learning Technologies group. Gomo, Instilled, you see a bunch of the new brands there, Bridge and Reflective, and it continues to keep growing as the company continues to grow. So we're excited to talk about this. We think it fits in very nicely in what we're talking about across LTG. So let's go ahead and move on. We don't need to spend much time on that. I think most people here probably know about LTG, but if they don't, feel free to ask a question. So let's start with a quick poll and kind of gauge the audience of sort of what's going on right now. So Alice, if you don't mind pushing the first poll, that would be great. So go ahead, everyone, and submit an answer there. All right, the responses are coming back in. We're almost there. Give it a couple seconds here. All right, we have the right people here. Let's go ahead and close the poll, and then we'll share the results as well with the audience. So good news, games and simulations hit kind of the majority, and I see kind of e-learning modules as well. So we obviously have the Gomo crowd here that believes in that, and I think this will be such a great complement of that. So William or Yannick, any reactions to this? Does this kind of align with what you were thinking or hoping?
No, that's a good point, because of course, and this is the purpose of this webinar, is to show you that as we learn by doing, we just needed a tool for that, and this is exactly the tool we will show you today. You will have a very good demonstration on that made by Yannick right after some slight information. And that's good to check that answers.
Perfect.
Thank you for
Great.
participating.
Everyone's hearing the right thing. So on to you, William, to tell us a little bit more about Serious Factory and what we're going to see today.
Yeah. So Serious Factory is a company that is specific on digital learning first, and for 5 years now we have focused our R&D to develop VTS Editor, a no-code offering software that allows you to create training programs. As we learn by doing, we need to practice. And VTS Editor lets you easily create interactive and dynamic virtual training simulations in total autonomy, and 5 times faster and cheaper than existing solution on the market, with no need for graphical or technical skill. I mean, you don't need to type any code on that or be graphical people. You will be able to design those training simulations and in order to allow the learner to practice, to make some errors, some mistakes, and learn by mistakes as well, and regularly practice what was done before and previously during face-to-face training sessions. So in terms of skills acquisition, knowledge is not enough, of course, and without regular practice, people forget what they learn in a very short period of time. So as of today, practicing was managed during face-to-face training sessions, and that way to do is more and more challenging. And recent events have amplified this need for efficient and easy to use virtual and remote training tools. So that's where VTS Editor and Serious Factory fills this gap. And our software, you will discover in a minute, and it is used by more than 300 clients worldwide, including Fortune 500 companies. More than 5,000 trainings programs have been created and appreciated by the learners, because it's based on gamification and deployed on any device from your LMS. So let's go for a demo now, and Yannick, if you can share your screen and start for that, we will talk about that later.
Yes. So I will also cut my video feed just in case.
Yeah, good call. Thank you for that, William. And
Yes.
Yannick, you should have the ball to present now and start sharing. Excited
Yes, that's it. Do you see my screen here?
We do. Technology is working. We're off to a good start.
Great. So perfect. I will show you how to create a simple training module very easily and quickly with VTS Editor. So here I am in VTS Editor, the last public version, and I will start creating a scenario by configuring the scene in which the scenario will take place. That's the first step when you create a VTS Editor project. So the first thing to set up is the scenery in which the scene will take place. So you can select a scenery among a list of a few hundreds of different sceneries. You have some offices, some hospital facilities. We have 360 sceneries like this one, for example. We have a lot of different sceneries. But we have some meeting room also. But I will stick for now with a very simple scenario for the demo that I will use to create my background by choosing an image. The image here that I will choose is already imported in the project, but I could also import any image, like a photo of your own office or shop, store, anything anything you like. So for this example, I will use this shoe store here, and we will tell something, create a story with this store. The second step is to add some characters in the scene. So for now, I have two predefined available character locations. I could change this location, but we will see that later. For now, I will just use them as default and select a character. So for that, we have a few hundreds of characters here too, like the scenarios to choose from. The first thing is to choose your character from the list here. We have a lot of different type of characters, different ages, with or without masks, a lot of ethnicities, jobs, like this one. So all of them are high quality 3D characters. We have also some cartoon style characters. So if you like, you can switch to another style, not only realistic characters. But for now, I will just stick with the first character here, this one, and use her in my scene. So I just selected character location, and I can add her here, and we will create something from here. So my scene is configured, and now I can add some blocks in what we call the scenario graph here. So we have two blocks, the start block and the end blocks, and it acts like a simple decision graph. Some of you may be used to this kind of tool. Everything between the start and end block will be executed as the scenario. So I just have to add some blocks here. This is the default blocks library. There is more, but there are more blocks, but this is the default. These are the default ones. And I will start using the orange category here. This category of blocks allows me to present some information to the user without any interaction. So I will start with the speak block to make my characters say something. I open the block by double click on it, with a double click on it, and select my character and make her say something like, welcome to in this training module. Okay, and I add another reply from the learner here and just say hello. So this is a very simple example, and I can hit the play button, but you won't hear any voice sound because it's not shared with the GoToWebinar app, but we can generate synthetic voice in VTS Editor, and we will see that during the publication process at the end of the demo. So I just hit the preview button, and here we are in the scene with the character saying what we configured before inside the speak block. The scenario is finished, so I'm back in the scenario start menu, the main menu. So as you see, it's very easy to create a simple situation, a simple simulation with a scenery, characters, maybe a few other characters if you like, and creating blocks in the graph. Everything I have to do here is just adding more blocks. So the graph is the main tool of VTS Editor, so that is where you will spend most of your time as a VTS Editor user. So we had to create it the user-friendly and juicy as possible. So we have a lot of tools to make it very easy to create graphs with these blocks here. The first, a few examples, you can duplicate blocks very easily, link them very quickly also, and with some keyboard shortcuts. You can select multiple blocks, group them together into only one, so you can enter, see the detail, and go back, zoom or unzoom in the graph. You can also ungroup the blocks that you have grouped previously. All kinds of things like that, or there is automatic alignment between blocks for self-organization or things like that. But for now, we'll just continue the demo with a few more blocks and switch to another scene that I pre-created before this webinar, so you don't have to see me typing all the texts in the blocks. It's the same scene than before, with the same character in the scenery. I just changed the text in the speak block. So now the character here will be a coach asking me to point out some problems in the store. Maybe there is some shoes that are not in the right on the right shelves, in the right place. So she's asking me to see it. And there is a sentence choice here. It's a green block, another category of blocks, asking the user to make some choice. So there is interaction here. There is some quiz, some true-false test. For the form blocks allow to type some more detailed input. And the sentence choice here just asks the learner to choose between a few different sentences. So in this example, I just typed, yes, there is something wrong in this store, or everything is fine. And the right answer would be, yes, something is wrong. So after this block, we have two branches depending on the choice made by the user, and two different message blocks to give the learner some feedback on his choice. So the feedback here will be well observed. There is a problem, and then after we will ask him to click on what he saw. And another message here to have just a simple feedback loop: wrong, try again, and loop back on the sentence choice here. So for this example, I will hit the preview button again, and we can see the character is speaking properly, and we have the choice here. Maybe everything is fine. Wrong, I have my message block. Try again. Okay, the same choice again. Yes, something wrong. And then well observed, and the scenario is completed.
Could you add some gamification, Yannick, and put some scores there?
Yes, that will be the next thing in the next scene here, because I just opened a third scene here. So I don't have for the same reason as before. I don't have to type everything during the demo. So in this scene, it's the same blocks here. I just added a few blocks before and after. And to answer your question, William, we have the quiz block here. It's another type of interaction block. This time it's not to choose something to say from the learner, but it's just a choice between a few propositions. So in this case, just after saying yes, something is wrong, we have the feedback well observed, and then a quiz, and you have three choices. What did you see? That's the question of this quiz, and I have to choose between these three choices, and each of these choices have some score related to them. So the right choice is the first one, with 5 points in the observation skill. There are two skills here, and the main the skills are configured in the main settings of the project here on the bottom left. So I have two skills: observation of oral expression. They are just examples. I could create more, like skill 3, and this skill will appear in my quiz also, so I can add some score, maybe negative scores if I want, and I can delete the skill, and all the scores related to the skills will disappear from my green blocks, because every green blocks asking interaction can have a score related to the choice of the learner. So in this case, if I press the preview button from here, we can see how the quiz displays. That's it. What did you see? And I have the three choices here. So if I click on the right answer, I have here the score displaying on the screen.
Yeah, and that, and there was a question that came in around like adaptive
Yeah.
learning and how adaptive learning plays into this, which this is absolutely adaptive learning as you're kind of getting in. But if there's other kind of adaptive elements that you wanted to call out, there's definitely been some interest in the chat and questions around.
Yes, that we will go into adaptive learning with the variables feature. I think it's a few minutes away in the demo.
Right. So yeah, we'll save it there. We're getting ahead already, but yes,
Yeah.
keep going. This is great.
No problem. Great. For now, so here you have seen the core features of VTS Editor. You have seen the graph, how to move blocks in the graph, how to connect them, how to create them from the blocks library, and the main types of blocks for displaying information, asking some choices, etc. And we have a few dozens of other features that we could speak about, but I will focus on 4 or 5 of them for this demo. The first one is about nonverbal interaction, because here it was only written written sentences or where the characters speak to each other, but maybe we want to have some nonverbal interaction, because it's very important in communication. So the first example of nonverbal interaction is the emotion wheel that we can use in any speak block, for example. So we have 5 different emotions, joy with different levels of intensity to allow you to be very precise in what you do. We have the fear emotion, sadness, anger, and indecision. It doesn't only change the facial expressions, it also affects the body language of the characters. So for example, the anger level 3, you see she seems a little bit, maybe it's not very visible with the screen sharing, but she seems a little more upset by the situation than before. Yeah. So I will stick with the joy level 2 for now, and we will see how it goes during the preview. Another example of nonverbal interaction is the animation block that allows you to choose between among a lot of high quality motion capture animations. So you can you have some shame animation, maybe a headache, military salute for some projects. And here I would just stick with a simple denial, not at all, she's saying. This will be the feedback animation while she's saying there is definitely something wrong after the wrong choice at the beginning. You remember in the sentence choice. So just to hit preview to see it in live, we can see the character with the little smile. And if I choose wrong, she's not happy at all. Okay. After nonverbal interaction, there we can speak a little about adaptive learning, because we have another system. We saw here how to create some branches depending on the choices of the user, but we can also create branches depending on more specific conditions related to the scenario with what we call the technical blocks. It's not very technical, in fact, it's just a little bit more tricky, and not tricky to use, but it can allow you to do more specific things like waiting some delay between 2 blocks, adding some randomness in the scenario. For example, these blocks allow you to go randomly into one branch or another. You can add as many branches as you want. And you have the flag system. It's a very simple on-off switch system, and then you can remember a flag, a switch, a value anywhere in the scenario, and then check this value later in the scenario to have some conditions. So maybe the user got it wrong before in the sentence choice, and you want to give some feedback at the end of the scenario. So you will create a flag approximately here to remember it, and use a check flag block later to give the user some feedback, for example. The flags are very simple to use, and the more powerful version of the flags is the variable system. The variable system allows you to create some very simple values. So for example, my variable, you can give it some value like text values, a true false value, or any value, numeric value. So for example, my variable 32, and then I can create more specific conditions, like if my variable is equal to 30 and the main score is less than 50, then I can create some feedback or create something else. So this allows me to fine-tune my scenario and conditions and branches. The variables, yes?
And be adaptive, because all those variables are saved. So
yes.
Depending on the path on the learner path, you can switch a branch to work deeply in on a specific topic or not. And this is very good. So to engage as well the learner, this is important.
That's it. And another way to engage the learner is to use the variables with the form block that I spoke about just before in the green blocks here. The form block allows the learner to type any kind of input like text, checkbox, password, or numbers. In this example, I just ask the user to type her or his first name, and the answer, the typed answer, will be stored in the first name variable, and this variable can then be used in any conditions block or inserted in any text, like in this message block. I say hello and first name, the variable, welcome to the training module. So if I play from the start here, we can see the results of this block combo. So first name, I'm named Bob, okay, and hello Bob, welcome into this training module. So this is also more engaging for the user, because it's directly addressed to him. So this is for the variables. It's also, it can be combined with other blocks. You can use the variables to show or hide some choices in other green blocks. You can use it for complex, more specific conditions like we saw before. And there are a lot of features of VTS editor that can be fine-tuned, precisely configured with variables if you need to. So another feature that we didn't see yet is after the quiz block here. The quiz block just asks what is the problem in the store. There is a misplaced product, and then the character asks me, could you show me where? And then I have a clickable zones block. This block allows me to create some zones on the screen, like a rectangular shaped zone, and place it anywhere I want. I can add some text in the zone. I can add some media behind in the zone if I want just to display some information to the user. But I can also create some invisible zones like this one, and the zone is placed on a shoe here. So when the user will click on this zone, this will trigger the congratulations message, because he correctly spots the problem in the store. So I will play from here, and then we can see, could you show me where is the problem that I pointed out? So here I click on the shoe, congratulations. Okay, so the clickable zones here, it's a very simple usage, but of course you can create hundreds of zones in your different zones in your scenario if you want. You can create it can be just to click on some elements in the scenario, but it can also be to display information and create fully customizable UIs interface for the user. So it's very up to you what you do with this system, and it also is very configurable with the variables. So if you combine clickable zones and variables to create some complex UIs reacting to adapting to the user actions, it's also possible. One last feature before we go into the publication process is the scenery configurator. So a few minutes ago, I spoke about the two predefined locations here. If I edit this scenery, I can select the character silhouettes here and move them around in the scene. So for example, this one, I can move it here, make him sit on in the scenery, and here I am. I have moved my characters around. I can move this one here like I want, and then I can add any other character here. So this is an example of what we can do. So you are free to create any scenario you like. In the scenario configurator, you can also see we create a new one for this example, because I modified a predefined scenery. We can have different types of scenery. This one before was a 2D scenery, but I can also create a 360 scenery here with a custom image. So for example, if I import a spherical image like this one, it's a spherical image to create a 360 scenery. I could also import some foreground image if I have some objects in front of the characters, and then I can move the characters around, same like as before, in my custom 360 scenery. There are a few ways to create this kind of images. Of course, you can take your own photograph with a specific camera, but you can also find them online in Shutterstock type of image bank.
So Yannick, quickly, we had some questions come in around VR exports and how that plays in. Is this now maybe a good time to talk a little bit how that could work in a headset maybe, or things like that?
Exactly. We are going into VR right now because the third type of scenery is VR, where we can specify two backgrounds, one for left eye and one for the right eye, and it's the same as the same behavior as the 360 scenery, but you can use it to publish a VR scenario. So we have seen the scenario configurator, so we can go into the publication process and speak about VR. VR is available on mobile with the cardboard for now by default, and we have the possibility at Source Factory to convert your projects for you for Oculus or Gear VR, for example, and to convert a VTS editor project into to make it available in VR. It's just a simple option to check here. There are a few warnings. There can be a few warnings because some blocks are not compatible, or some scenarios are not compatible. For example, if I use a 2D scenario, like it's the case in this project, that will be a warning. Because it cannot work in VR. So it's just a simple checkbox, and it's compatible for most of the blocks in VR. The form blocks, for example, is not yet compatible because it's very hard in VR to type some complex text. It could be possible, but it's not compatible right now. But most blocks are.
You just have to adapt a little bit the pedagogy and the flow of a scenario, of course.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, VR is going to be more click-based or pointing-based and things like that than text entering, for sure.
That's it. So then you are engaged in the publication process. You can choose to publish in VR mode. You can, when you have checked everything is okay, you can go into the text recap section. So you can see every text written in the project. For example, here I filtered all the texts pronounced by the characters. I can generate the synthetic voices. We didn't see it before, but in the character section, we have a lot of synthetic voices here. Here it's only English voices for US accent, UK accent, Indian accent also. So we have one of the largest synthetic voice database because we put together 4 different synthetic voice providers, Google, Microsoft, Capella, and ReadSpeaker. So we have a few hundreds of voices in a few dozens of, 2 dozens of languages.
And this is the biggest database for voice, for synthetic voice, and generated with a click.
That's it. It's just a button. So here I have 2 voices to generate. So for example, I can hit generate, enter my password, and this generates the 2 voices in a few seconds. And here you can't hear the voices because of the screen sharing, but it's all the green buttons here are properly generated. And then when all the texts are proofread, all the voices are generated, everything is fine, I can just hit the publish button and enter the publication process. And here I can choose whether I deploy for our application, VTS player, or for SCORM to any LMS on the market. It can be a SCORM package in the two main formats, 1.2 or 2004, or it can be a simple web page to upload on any website, for example. That's for the publication process. We could go further if there is some questions on any feature of VTS editor, but that's it for the main part of the demo.
We thank you. This has been great. This is a learning audience. There's a lot of people from authoring tools in here. I know you showed me at one point there's some things where you can add SCORM results and things like that. Do you maybe mind mentioning a little bit around how the work within the e-learning standards?
I didn't speak about the SCORM block here. It allows you to fine-tune some properties for specific to SCORM, like the progression status, the completion status, success status, and maybe override the score if you want to, if you don't like the default score system in VTS. So you can add this kind of SCORM block anywhere in your graph to specify, like here, for example, I say that the progression status should be 60%. This is the kind of thing you can configure for SCORM, and inside the SCORM publication process, you have of course, some parameters for background image during the loading of the simulation, but also parameters about sending. Do you want to send SCORM interactions to the LMS? Do you want to take into account the SCORM objectives? Should the user be allowed to play several times the same scenario or only once? This kind of parameters.
Yeah. And for adaptive learning as well, depending on your LMS, if your LMS can send some information and get some information, we have also a block that is very interesting as well for some requests to fine-tune your follow-up of training, adaptive learning for the learner.
Yeah, I didn't speak about the web request block. Yes, it's very useful if you have any API, like William said, in your LMS, for example. But any web service can be used with this block. You can call your API with some parameters and get or post or anything, and you can get the result of the API into some variable that you can use later. In the scenario to create conditions or any use of the variables that you like. It can be used, for example, we have already used it to connect to Moodle with the APIs for authentication of the user and send the results at the end.
I'm sure all the developers, real technical people on the call right now or in webinar are really appreciating that. You can basically do anything with that.
Yeah, that's it. You can even make coffee if you have some connected coffee machine.
As we say in Serious Factory, the only limit is your imagination.
Yeah, there's a lot of features in here for sure.
Yeah, you can manage badges and leaderboards and one of the things that I like on this project is when you are international and you want to localize a scenario, because you just need to export the text, translate the text, so you can export as an Excel or a text file. You just translate it and just import it, and that's done. Everything will be reconciliated. You just click on a button and you generate the voices in the right language as well. And it's done. So in less than 3 minutes, you just localize your whole scenario.
Yeah, that's a big, internationalization is a big thing for our audience for sure. Gomo has a great XLIF export feature that's used, and Instilled has the auto translate feature. So yeah, the fact that you guys are accomplishing that and in a matter of minutes, you can have multilingual scenarios is pretty powerful.
Yeah. And on top of that, you can also manage each localized scenario by changing the character as well, and and be more specific. For instance, imagine an Asian scenario. You will select Asian people within the catalog and be more specific to culture. So that's good.
So in this example here, I just created another language in the project. So I have English and French, and I can switch at any time in the project between English and French. So here I have no text in French because I've not translated it yet. But if I type some example, here it's the French version, switch back to English, and both texts are kept in the project.
So you can check live and just play the preview button and check if everything is fine. Okay, so maybe do you have some remaining questions that has not been answered yet?
They talked about Google Translate, but localization. So you already kind of answered that. Use case question. I think you're going to talk about some use cases in a second when you share the customer example. So we'll save that one. Yep. There was a question around Oculus and how that works, and I think that it was answered in line. But the short answer is it could work. I think there's a fee, right, to make it convert and work in Oculus.
Yeah, in fact, as it's specific, and there are a lot of different devices regarding VR. We have managed within the software the direct conversion into VR for cardboards. And when it's specific, when you need to click on several objects, for instance, you just need to ask us some on-demand specific development or finalization to be adapted to your specific need on that. So it's an additional service offering we can offer you, and to finalize on that.
Perfect. Makes lots of sense. I think that's all the questions that we have now. If there are others come in, please feel free to submit them. We will also follow up after the webinar to any questions that we didn't get to. There's a lot coming in, so we really appreciate everyone taking the time and interacting with us here. This is great. So William, do you want me to pass it back over to you to talk some about the customer examples?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, let's see if we can do this. Here we go. Yannick, thank you so much. That was a wonderful demonstration. It's a very technical product, so I know doing something like that with not much feedback in live is always difficult. So thank you for doing that. It was
thank you.
Yeah. Here I will. Yeah. Okay. So I will speak about some examples. So the first one is the French National Post, who has created a serious game for acquiring the best practices in terms of behavior regarding cybersecurity. By the way, they have created as well a leaderboard and rewarded the people inside the company with the top 20 people with some specific gifts. So in order to be more global for the company, that was great. Novartis, the second one, has developed a training program for doctors in order to help them reach operational excellence during medical appointments. So they are in a specific meeting, an appointment with a patient, and they have to manage that the proper way, and using virtual simulation in specific and realistic situations. We have trained people with that kind. They have trained people with that kind of tool. Keller Communication, I don't know if you know them, but they are well known for their training program for managers. The name is Process Communication. And this is a behavioral training for manager until that digital usage. There were only face-to-face training session, and they have decided to switch to a blended usage using training program after the face-to-face training session in order to regularly practice, because the first shot on a face-to-face training session is not enough. You need to practice regularly. And this was also a way for them to coach, to better coach those people, because they could share the simulation with the coach So on a long-term usage and practice, they could increase a lot their ability to manage those kind of situations. With Boston Scientific, we ensure the advice, maybe never the first time on a patient. Using VTS editor, in fact, they have developed in 3 months a realistic simulation program to master the process of implementing a cardiac valve. So of course, we don't want to be the first one when a new doctor arrives on the market. So never the first time, and then they have to be very precise in this simulation. It was based on the clickable zone you have seen, put on videos, because here we have seen a demonstration on a still image, on a scenery, on the background, but you can also add some clickable zone on videos as well. And during the video, you have to click on things that was not properly done, or the pointing, dynamically pointing things. SNCF, it's the French National Railway Company. They have developed an immersive and gamified scenarios as part of a recruiting campaign, because some of the jobs were not very attractive. So they need to promote those jobs. And another project that is not mentioned here is they have developed a training program for railroad switchers, and transformed their 6 months face-to-face training session into a 2 weeks one, plus 5 digital training simulations like this made with VTS. So you can imagine the cost saving, switching from 6 months face-to-face to 2 weeks, including host and catering, so you can imagine. And the last one is manpower. They train their employees on their future job through realistic scenarios, and they also have the issue that when they work at another company, they also have to manage the image of manpower. So they are put in a situations like this and check if they answer properly, if they propagate the values of manpower when they are inside a company. So as you have understood, our mission is not to create content, but we have the expertise on that and on gamification. So we have developed the proper tool for you in order to empower the learner. This is our mission, and to let you design that in total autonomy, in very quickly and efficient training program. So Jeff, you wanted to, yeah, okay, maybe we have now we have finished this demonstration. Maybe we will ask you a new question that could be interesting at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. So this poll is more to gauge how we can best follow up and support everyone that was here. So feel free to answer it honestly and openly. We just want to know how best we can follow up and help you all. We really appreciate everyone's time today on this webinar, and especially the Serious Factory team for everything they did to kind of prepare and demonstrate this. They have an incredibly impressive and detailed product. We definitely hope there's more interest in this. If there's ever anything we can do to help, please let us know. As he's mentioning earlier on, they built technology here, but we also at LTG, as I mentioned, have a services arm through Leo and Preloaded that can help you all think about these games, design these scenarios, or even build them or any level for you. So if that felt overwhelming and it wasn't something that might fit your organization to develop yourself, but you do want to do this, please feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to have conversations with you about this. We love talking about learning technologies and everything around it, and just always want to add more value to the organization and everything we can do. So I think everyone kind of answered the poll, so we can go ahead and close that out so the videos will pop back up, and we'll just go to the final slide, William, and say thank you to everyone. Our gift to you today is 10 minutes, I guess, back in your day on the hour. We really, really appreciate it. William and Yannick, any final thoughts or anything you wanted to share with the audience?
Yeah, in fact, you will receive a specific link where you will be able to download the trial version so you can check by yourself. This is a better test you could do. And so right after this webinar, you will receive this mail with a specific link. So just try it out.
Perfect. Yes, that's right. I forgot about the free trial. What a great offer. Get in, do it. It is as easy as Yannick made it look, but there's so much you can do with it. So thank you both. Yannick, anything you wanted to add?
No, it's okay for me. Nothing to add.
All right. Well, with that, thank you all so much. Please feel free to contact us, the Gomo team, the Instilled team, and also the Serious Factory team. Anyone that responded to that poll will follow up with you. And again, thank you for attending today. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.